What if I told you that the greatest sci-fi films of the 21st century are not about laser guns or alien invasions, but about the terrifying limits of the human mind? We are talking about movies that force you to question your own reality, where the villain is obsession, the hero is broken, and the ending leaves you staring at a blank screen in existential dread. From a magician's deadly rivalry that spans decades, to a man who wakes up in someone else's body every 8 minutes, to a dinner party that descends into parallel universe chaos, here are 5 sci-fi thrillers that will break your brain. Christopher Nolan's masterpiece is not about magic, it is about the cost of genius. Shot in stunning 35mm, Nolan uses a non-linear narrative that jumps through time, forcing you to piece together the puzzle just like the obsessed magicians at the center of this tragic rivalry. Two rival magicians, Robert Angier and Alfred Borden, are consumed by their need to outdo each other. Borden creates the ultimate trick, the transported man, and Angier will stop at nothing to discover its secret. The conflict is not just professional, it is deeply personal. Angier loses his wife, Borden loses his family, and both sacrifice their morality on the altar of obsession. Nolan masterfully frames this as a war of science versus sacrifice, logic versus madness. You are forced to ask yourself, what would you sacrifice for greatness? The final act reveals that Borden's trick was not magic, it was the ultimate sacrifice of living a double life with his twin brother. Meanwhile, Angier's obsession drives him to Tesla's machine, which creates a literal clone of himself, forcing him to drown his own duplicate every single night. The payoff is devastating. Both men destroyed themselves for a secret that was never worth it. The film's closing line, "Now you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it," directly addresses the audience, leaving us haunted by the terrifying price of ambition. Alfonso Cuarón's dystopian masterpiece is shot in long, unbroken takes that feel like a documentary from hell. The world has stopped reproducing, and humanity is facing extinction. This is not an action film. It is a harrowing, emotionally brutal journey through a world that has lost all hope. Theo Farrow, a disillusioned bureaucrat, is forced to transport the only pregnant woman on Earth, Key, to a mysterious sanctuary known as the Human Project. The conflict is survival against a crumbling society. Government forces want to exploit Key, rebels want to use her as a symbol, and the world is collapsing into chaos. Cuarón forces you to feel every bullet, every explosion, and every moment of silence. The tension is unbearable because the camera never cuts away. You are trapped in Theo's desperate mission, witnessing the ugliest and most beautiful moments of humanity. The climax is a 10-minute, single-take war sequence through a refugee camp, where Theo and Key must navigate a battlefield to reach a rescue boat. The payoff is profoundly emotional. When the soldiers hear the baby's cries, they stop fighting in pure awe. That single moment of silence is louder than any explosion. Theo sacrifices himself to give Key and her child a future, and the final shot, a boat drifting toward an uncertain horizon, is both hopeful and devastating. Cuarón reminds us that even in the darkest times, humanity's instinct to protect the next generation is our only salvation. Duncan Jones's directorial debut is a minimalist masterpiece made on a tiny budget. Shot almost entirely with practical effects and a single actor, Moon is a claustrophobic, psychological thriller that explores identity, memory, and corporate greed in the isolation of space. Sam Bell is a lone astronaut nearing the end of his 3-year contract on a lunar mining station. His only companion is Gertie, a HAL-like AI with a friendly smiley face screen. When Sam discovers a crashed rover and finds a younger, identical version of himself inside, his reality shatters. The conflict is existential. Is he the original Sam, or just another clone? The corporation, Lunar Industries, has been using clones with implanted memories, forcing them to work until they die, then replacing them. Sam must confront the terrifying truth that his entire existence is a lie. The climax sees Sam helping his clone escape to Earth to expose the corporation, while he sacrifices himself to destroy the jamming signal. The payoff is bittersweet. The clone makes it back, but the original Sam dies alone on the moon. Yet, the final scene shows Earth's media uncovering the truth, implying that Sam's sacrifice was not in vain. This film forces you to question your own identity. Are you defined by your memories, your body, or your actions? Moon is a heartbreaking meditation on what it means to be human. Duncan Jones returns with a high-concept thriller that blends quantum physics with emotional desperation. Captain Coulter Stevens wakes up on a train, looking like someone else, with only 8 minutes to find a bomber. The catch? He has to do it over and over again. Stevens is actually a dead soldier whose brain is being kept alive in a government program called Source Code. He is repeatedly sent into the final 8 minutes of a man who died in a train explosion. His mission: identify the bomber to prevent a second, larger attack in Chicago. The conflict is twofold: physical, surviving the explosion each time, and psychological, learning to accept his own death. As Stevens falls in love with a passenger, Christina, he becomes desperate to save her and the train, even though he knows it is a simulation. Stevens finally stops the bomber, saves the train, and kisses Christina, knowing that the source code program will shut down his consciousness. But here is the mind-bender. When the program ends, Stevens wakes up alive in a new reality where the bomb never went off. The payoff is that source code does not just simulate the past. It creates an entirely new timeline. Stevens gets a second chance at life, proving that even in the face of certain death, hope and love can rewrite reality itself. It is a surprisingly optimistic twist in a dark thriller. No CGI. No special effects. No budget. Just 8 friends at a dinner party, a comet passing overhead, and a terrifyingly simple concept. What if you walked into your house and found your doppelganger sitting at your table? Coherence is the ultimate paranoid thriller. During a dinner party, the power goes out, and the group discovers that only one house in the street still has electricity. When they venture inside, they find their own counterparts sitting at the table. The conflict is psychological. Who can they trust, and which version of themselves is the real one? The film forces each character to confront their darkest secrets and insecurities. Infidelities are exposed, resentments surface, and the group descends into chaos. The comet acts as a catalyst, blurring the lines between parallel universes and forcing the characters to choose their own reality. Our protagonist, Emily, discovers that the perfect version of herself in another universe is dating the man she loves. In a moment of desperate jealousy, she drugs the other Emily and takes her place. The payoff is chilling. Emily realizes that she has become the villain of her own story, willing to destroy another version of herself to achieve happiness. The film ends with Emily's new partner getting a phone call from the real Emily, implying that her crime has been discovered. Coherence is a terrifying reminder that we are often our own worst enemies, and that the multiverse holds infinite versions of ourselves, some better, some worse. These 5 films are not just entertainment. They are philosophical experiments designed to break your perception of reality. From Nolan's obsessive magicians to the psychological horror of parallel universes, each film forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. What would you sacrifice for greatness? What defines your identity? Could you live with the choices you make in another timeline? If you made it through this mind-bending journey, you are a true sci-fi enthusiast. Smash that like button to prove you love cerebral cinema, comment which film messed with your head the most, and subscribe for more deep dives into the movies that challenge everything we think we know.